Welcome back. Welcome back. It is Morgan Hill, also known as Live Love Literature. Just lowering y'all. Yeah, let's talk. Hair is different, okay? This is what you call a wash and go style. I have gel in my hair to bring out the curls. No, I did not coil it. This is how my hair naturally coils when product is added. So just to clarify that. But yeah, y'all, I like to switch it up. But yeah, anyways, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to talk a little bit more about the books I read this year. I feel like there's some books that I have talked about to death on this channel, and then there are books that I haven't really talked about like at all, like that I have read this year, and I just want to talk about those as well. Sorry, I'm going to be fiddling with my bangs to make sure that they are how I want. Like, there's like a gap here. Okay, so anyways, yeah, first and foremost, we're gonna start off on like maybe the more negative side, like books I was underwhelmed by. I'm kind of like creating my own category / just picking and choosing from end of the year book tags that I've watched on YouTube. Since I am a content consumer, then I get ideas, obviously. But yeah, so books that I was not super impressed by, or was not, the feeling that I felt when I read them did not match the amount of hype that they have around them. And we're first gonna start off with Love and Other Words by Christina. This was a good book. It was a great book, but the hype that I've seen around this, like it was, oh my gosh, so life-changing and so comforting, I did not experience that personally when I read it. Now, it doesn't mean that it's a bad book, but I just did not experience like the intense, oh my gosh, this is like such an amazing romance book. It was good. This is about Elliot and Macy. And they were like childhood best friends. So if you like childhood best friends to lover stories, then you're gonna eat this up. They're childhood best friends, and like they kind of start to fall in love, but then like right when they do, something bad happens and it kind of just breaks them apart, and they find their way back to each other in their adult years. So like it was a good tale. It definitely was, but like I said, it didn't have that hype that I was expecting. Oh, okay. Next, we have the Inheritance Games series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. So, yeah, I read this series expecting, honestly, to be blown away. I know that this is very popular with a younger audience. I do teach, and a lot of my students were raving about this series, and I was like, I gotta get my hands on it. And I wanted to read it before last school year ended, but I wasn't in the mood for it. So I did read this over the summer, and I saw some of my students from last year, and I was like, hey, I finally read the Inheritance Games. And yeah, I just, this is gonna be a slight spoiler. She doesn't end up with who I want her to. Like, I'm usually not I'm usually not the girly who loves like the dark and mysterious dude, but in a mystery or fantasy, I do. Like in real life romance, like in realistic romance where like there are no fantastical or mystical elements, I am not in love with the mysterious guy, because I'm like, what the heck are you so mysterious for? This is real life, like what? But in a mystery or in a fantasy, I do love the dark and mysterious man. And like I said, spoiler alert, she does not end up with the dark and mysterious man, and it just I found it to be lackluster, the romance especially. Like, why is this even sort of kind of marketed as a romance? It definitely should not be. But yeah, and then the mystery just kept dragging on and on and on. It was cute, it was great. I will be donating this though to like some sort of library, a free little library, or to my own classroom library, who knows. Yeah, I guess next in the same category is Children of Anguish and Anarchy by Tomi Adeyemi. This was the third and final book in the Children of Blood and Bone series, or the Legacy of Orisha series. I think the first book was the best. The first book was amazing. It was terrific. It was fantastic. And it took me a year to read the second one because I read like half of it, stuck my bookmark in it, and did not return to it until this year. So that was March 2023 when I started it, and I didn't finish it until like May of this year. So yeah, and for this to be an ending book, it was very skinny, and yeah, I just wanted more from it. I didn't like that one of the main characters does die at the end. Spoiler, I'm sorry, but one of the main characters does die at the end, and I found that really disheartening and distressing. But I'm happy that I read it, and I probably will reread this again at some point, like the whole trilogy, because I'm not gonna lie, y'all, I read that first book 6 years ago. So yeah, this series has been going on for 6 years, so Next we have A Song to Drown Rivers by Liang. First of all, let's just look at how gorgeous and stunning this book is. That's stunning. And look. Ooh, yellow's my favorite color, y'all. She's stunning. Okay, we're about to get into some spoilers. I did not like the ending, okay, y'all? I'm sorry. I don't want to spoil all these books for you, but a main character dies at the end. I'll just say that, okay? A main character dies at the end, and I don't know. I kind of didn't feel like it was necessary. It kind of made me feel like what was even the point of me reading this? Like, it was very, very beautifully written. It also was unrealistic. Like, it's about a girl. She is like so beautiful that people like lose their minds when they look at her, and there are two kingdoms. It kind of reminds me of Mulan. It is based on Chinese mythology, so I'm not just saying it reminds me of Mulan just because it's Asian culture. Like, it's literally okay. But anyways, so yeah, there's like two neighboring countries, and they're at war, whatever, that they're against each other, and she's a part of one, and she is going to be used to seduce the king of the enemy country and try to take him down. So basically, yeah, this handsome man, he comes and like he sees her in the village, and he's like, hey, you are so beautiful, we're gonna use you to seduce the king of the enemy kingdom so that we can try to get on the inside and take him down. My thing is this: it was very the content was very vanilla for the setup. Like, if she's going to be a mistress for the enemy kingdom, like the stakes really weren't high. Like, he was the kind of king where he was like, okay, like, she had the power to refuse him if she wanted to. And I'm like, that's not realistic. Like, if he's some sort of big bad enemy king man, he's probably not gentle, not forgiving, and not like it was very much like, oh my gosh, like, you're the apple of my eye, like, if you refuse me, I'll respect it. And I don't know. I don't know. But yes. See, y'all, these are some of the other books I read this year that you didn't even know about. Okay, next we have the Prequel Bridgerton series. So this series is about, so in Bridgerton, the father, who has since passed, in the show you don't see the father except for in flashbacks. The father, his name is Edmund, I think. Edmund Bridgerton. So this prequel series is about some of his siblings and cousins, like their love stories. So yeah, he's still like a little boy in this series. But yeah, I don't have the first book on here. There's four books in the prequel series. The first one is really, really good. It's called Because of Miss Bridgerton, and I ate that up. I loved it so much. It was kind of like a enemies to lovers type thing. Like they don't like each other. They don't like each other at first. And her name is Billy. I remember that. Her name was Billy Bridgerton. And wow, it's almost been a year since I read that. But anyways, it's Billy and George, I think. And like they don't like each other, but then they of course end up liking each other and falling in love. And that one was so good and so cute and just so well done. These three, I don't know. They just missed the mark for me. They're nice and skinny though. Like these are, you can finish these in a day. But yeah, the romance was like very insta-lovey and very like, I don't know. I just don't know. But it definitely missed the mark. So it has me wondering if, are the Bridgerton books really, or is it just, like I kind of, you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying. I try to keep it positive on this channel, so I'm not really gonna say too much. Okay, that is for real. That is it for the list of books that underwhelmed me and maybe left me a little bit unimpressed this year. Okay, so now on to some books that had me impressed and surprised in a pleasant manner. So first we're gonna talk about, let's talk about Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman, okay? So this book, I avoided reading this book for the longest because, I say for the longest, I just discovered it like months ago. But I did avoid reading it because I knew that it was like a dark romance, and I'm not really the biggest fan of dark romance. I'm learning that now. Like a few days ago, I tried to read Hooked by whoever the author is, I can't remember. I tried to read Hooked and I was like, oh no, like after 10-15 pages I was like, oh no, it's not for me. But anyway, Still Beating, I feel like everyone knows what Still Beating is about at this point. If you don't know, I don't know what to tell you. But basically two people get lost in a car. What? It's too much to try to explain, y'all. It's too much to try to explain. Okay, there's Cora and there's Dean, okay? Cora is the sister to Dean's fiance. So Dean is getting married to Cora's sister. One night Cora is out late and she needs somebody to come pick her up. Dean's the only person available. Dean comes to pick her up. On their way home, or on their way for him to drop her off, their car gets hijacked and they get kidnapped, and they stay like a month or two in this underground bunker with this crazy man, and he forces them to do horrible things. Now, the reason why this is on my surprise list is because I expected it to be a lot darker than it was. Yeah, I expect it to be a lot darker. Like, the part where they are being tortured isn't even really the bulk of the book. The bulk of the book is actually like how they overcome that when they leave. Because obviously they're now bonded in a way that he and Cora's sister are not bonded. So it's like how they're gonna deal with that type thing. So yeah, that's what it's I just opened up to a really interesting part. Yeah, like however, this is not me trying to downplay the content of the book, because it definitely is dark, and if you are sensitive, do not read it. It's very dark, very crazy. Whatever bad thing that you think could happen to people who have been kidnapped, then expect it to be seen, in this book. But it wasn't as dark as I thought it was going to be, if that makes any sense. And I ended up like really, really liking it. Will I say it's like my favorite Jennifer Hartman like some people do? No, just because I don't think a dark romance will ever be in my top, just because dark doesn't really go with my sunshiny persona. But yeah, that's that. Okay, next let's do The Serpent and the Wings of Night. Ooh. So this book had been on my shelf for a while. I finally read both of these in September, and I thought this was really good. I'm not gonna lie to you, y'all. As you can kind of see from my disappointed list, fantasy has not been doing it for me. And it sucks because fantasy is like my OG favorite genre. Like that, like if you were to catch me 5-6 years ago, like what was I reading? Definitely fantasy after fantasy after fantasy. But as of lately in my adulthood, I don't know, maybe adult fantasy is just like not my thing, because it tends to be heavily focused on romantasy, and I don't want it to be marketed as a romantasy. Like I didn't read ACOTAR. I didn't read ACOTAR in 10th grade because it was marketed as a romantasy. I read it because I thought it was a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and I knew it was fantastical. I just whatever. Like, it just looked cool. But now that everything is being marketed as a romantasy, I just don't like that. I don't want you to tell me it's a romantasy. I want to just feel like the romance is good and that the plot is good. Like, I need for the plot to be as intense as the romance. And the thing is that it never is. That's why I like Throne of Glass better as a series than I do ACOTAR. Because that plot, baby, that plot, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. Anyways, I went off on a tangent. Serpent and the Wings of Night. I really, really, really liked... I didn't really know too much. Well, I see on the back, it says that The Serpent and the Wings of Night has all the fun of A Court of Thorns and Roses. So everything's trying to be like a Court of Thorns and Roses. Everything is trying, like all the marketing people are trying to push this agenda of, if it's like A Court of Thorns and Roses, people want to buy it, so let's market it like that. And that's cool. Oftentimes it has nothing to do with the author. But sometimes when it's trying so hard to be a romantasy instead of just being a good story that happens, a good fantasy story that happens to also have a good romance, then that's when I start to become turned off. And I've been turned off by a lot of fantasy this year. Even this week, I've tried to pick up a couple fantasies and a dark academia this week. It's gone nowhere. It's gone nowhere. I'm struggling, y'all. But anyways, this one was good. Okay, this one was really, really good. Yeah, this basically this human girl, at least yeah, she's human, but she was founded by it's vampire king, okay? And yeah, she's like found in the rubble of like her old city, and she was raised by this vampire king. And in order to get like a gift from like these gods, you have to enter and win this competition. So the competition is her and a bunch of other vampires. I'm probably explaining this really, really wrong, but this is from what I can remember. The competition is her and a bunch of other vampires. She kind of like forms a bond with another vampire to kind of like, you know, help her out, even though at the end like they're gonna have to kill each other. His name is Rain. And, you know, slowly but surely they start to fall in love and stuff. But then at the very end, it hits the fan. I'm not going to lie. The ending had me shook in a way that I have not been shook in a while. Like, I really, really enjoyed it. It was definitely a plot twist. And then the second one was good. Like, it was a solid way to end a duology. And I just really like, this is a solid fantasy. I liked it. Okay. Okay, y'all. Okay, so next, what do we have? Oh, you know what? I think this is the last. I think this is the last. Lastly, we have The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer trilogy. How scandalous. If you are an OG booktuber, okay, you know about this series. This series was on everybody's bookshelves. It was in everybody's TBR before he even started really saying TBR. Like, this just gave me such OG nostalgia. I don't even know, did I buy this from a book? I think I bought the first one from a bookstore, or I ordered off Amazon or something. No, I think I saw it somewhere and I was like, you know what? Let me finally pick this up and read it like 10 years later. And then I ordered the rest of the series from Amazon. I devoured this in like 3 days total. 3 days total. And I'm not even kidding with you. 3 days total. because it was just that good. Like, it was so good. It's like your parent, it's a paranormal type beat. It's a paranormal type beat. And I loved it. It reminded me so much of like your teenage years reading a paranormal series. You're probably watching Vampire Diaries. Like, it made me yearn for that like supernatural paranormal era of, I guess, fantasy, like urban fantasy. I low-key think that urban fantasy is my favorite. I got into stuff like ACOTAR just like on a whim. Like, I love kingdoms and kings and castles and all that type of stuff, but I don't know, I feel like it's harder to do that well. But this, I read a lot of supernatural paranormal stuff, and it's always good. In urban fantasy, like the Mortal Instruments is a popular example of urban fantasy. I just love it. Like, I don't talk enough about the Mortal Instruments, but the Mortal Instruments is definitely like one of the Shadowhunter Chronicles in general is like one of the favorite, well, like one of the best written things ever. Like, Cassandra Clare ruled my teenage years. Like, hello. Yeah. But anyways, this girl, like, it's so crazy, like, where we start off in this book and where we end is complete opposite. Like, you will not expect what happens in this book to have happened, but it was so good. Just looking at it is making me want to go and find more books like this because it was so good. But basically, nothing is what it seems. This girl, she gets in a car accident and like all her friends die except for her, but she can't remember what happened. Like, yeah, she's the only survivor, but yet she can't remember what happens. And we're just like, girl, what the heck is going on? It's so good. Like, it is so good, so good, so good. A little bit creepy, so, you know, if you're sensitive, you know, maybe don't check it out, but it is so good. So yeah, this had me shook. I didn't expect it to be bad. I just didn't expect it to be this good and for me to love it like I did. But this is probably, because I didn't read a whole bunch of series this year. I low-key think this might be my favorite series I read this year. Because, yeah, I didn't read a whole bunch of series. I read standalones. So, yeah, y'all. That concludes my most surprising reads, and then, like, some disappointing reads or some underwhelming reads. We'll see how I phrase it in the end. Of 2024. I think that's it, to be honest, unless I come back and do another video called like my favorite romances of the year. But I feel like I've talked enough about my favorite romances in my favorites video. You know, I feel like yeah, I feel like I've talked enough about that. But we'll see. But anyways, thanks for watching, y'all. See you in the next video.